Russo's Playbook. Alright, what's up everybody? We are here with the first episode of Russo's NFL Rundown. All NFL news, all off-season, every Sunday. Catch us on the latest rumors, news, and hot takes. And you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from, or watch on YouTube. And if you'd rather read, we have new blogs out almost daily on russosplaybook.com. But let's jump into it for this week. So we got the early winners and losers of free agency. So we'll start with the winners first. Obviously, it seems obvious enough. It's the Patriots for me at number one. As much as I disagree with some of their signings, when you put down $245 million, your team gets better no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not only the best move for them because they needed to spend the money in order to kind of improve that team, but I just think they're the only ones who did it. You know,
yeah.
They outbought every other team. I think it was like $132 million or something like that, and some teams didn't even spend that much to begin with.
Yeah.
So Bill Belichick definitely kind of sat down and decided, this was the year to do it. I agree with you as well. There's some signings that I definitely didn't agree with money-wise. Some that I just didn't think they really needed the player. But overall, you got to give it to them. They definitely won free agency so far.
Yeah, I agree. Money was good, though. Man, they had it, and Bill Belichick wanted to retool with everything. So we got Cam some weapons, and it looks like a good free agency for them. Then we move on to number two. I got the Giants. For me, the Giants went from nothing to something on my list in the matter of a day or two. They signed Kyle Rudolph and Kenny Golladay with their new look offense. For me, Rudolph is an older veteran, reliable in the red zone for Daniel Jones. And then when healthy, Golladay will be a number one receiver, getting looks. So, yeah, I think as long as he's healthy, it'll be good. And that'll take away looks from Shepard and Ingram, so they get one-on-ones.
Yeah, I think that's the improvement that they made, to say the least, was they gave themselves some more weapons to take away from all the attention on the ones that have been there forever, right?
Yeah.
The ones that everybody was used to. However, I don't have them at 2.
Okay.
My reasoning why is I'm afraid that the Giants just did some Giants BS. I think that I agree Kenny Golladay is a great wide receiver. I think Kyle Rudolph, he was an awesome tight end, but I'm worried they're kind of, one's very injury prone and the other one might be out of his prime. And although they didn't, they didn't throw an absolute bag at Kyle Rudolph, I'm interested to see how he fits.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my main thing. I'm interested to see what they're actually able to do with him. I'm worried that they just turn him into a straight up blocking tight end and that they don't use him in the red zone and that they use him wrong. And with Kenny Golladay, say that he is still injury prone and he's out for half the season, then what was the point? Shepard's going to get all the attention again. Ingram's going to get all the attention again. But again, this is all, granted, you got to just hope that they stay healthy. The team that I had in at number 2 is actually Tampa.
Okay.
So the reason for it is I just believe that Tampa did everything that they needed to do to be able to look at a Super Bowl opportunity again for next year. They re-signed Levante David.
Yep.
They tagged Chris Godwin. They made the moves that they had to do. They went out and got Gronk again. I just see they did everything that they needed to do.
Yeah.
They kept it very simple. They knew that was their Super Bowl team. They just needed to keep those guys along, and that was the big worry for them was, where's Chris Godwin going to go? Levante David, he's so good at covering. He really helped out so good.
Yeah, he locked it down in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly, against Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of the best tight ends to ever leave the league. So just because of that, I threw them in at number 2.
Yeah. I threw them in this list as well, and you touched on basically all the points, so I agree as well.
Right on.
But then number 3, I got Jacksonville. I know it's a little surprising. I know they didn't make the splashy big free agent signing, but they brought in guys that know Urban Meyer, and with him, he's filling out his team with his players, and that go a long way for building a team, and the culture as well. You're bringing guys in that you used to coach in college, and now they're coming in that believe in you and know what you're about, and now they got your back, and that's huge for a team. And like I said, it may not be big signings, but they had Shaquille Griffin as an upgrade at corner.
100%.
And they've also signed some another safety. It's just, I don't know, I believe they're filling out the roster well.
Yeah, I always say with them, I don't think it's going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I think like this is going to be a couple like years of a process. You're going to see like Trevor Lawrence after they draft him have to start getting comfortable, and I think him and Urban Meyer together. Like Urban Meyer is one of those coaches who he's a player's coach, right? He wants to know how they're feeling, what they think, and maybe the next free agency, Trevor Lawrence will be like, well, hey, this is what I really need, and they can start going after that guys. But it's exactly what you said. They're building the culture for that team to start, growing, becoming better, and that's the main thing that they had to do. However, I didn't have them at 3. I had the Browns at 3. So my reasoning for this is the Browns, I think, although they didn't go crazy with the signings, they got Troy Hill, they got John Johnson, and those are 2 positions that they desperately needed help in. Yeah. Their corners were halfway decent. Their defensive backs were halfway decent, but they were getting burned on some of these plays, right? They're in this tough division, and if they want to compete in this tough division, they're going to have to start making those improvements to become that better team. I think they did it. I'm more interested to see what they do now in the draft to try and help out Baker. I don't think he needs the weapons, wide receivers, or running back-wise. They could use some help on that line, and they might even be able to use some help on the opposite side on the defensive line. But what the Browns did in the end of that season, how they went out beating the Steelers, kept it competitive with the Chiefs, I think that they really needed to make some moves for just improvement, and they did that. So in my mind, that was good enough for me to put them in at 3.
Yeah, I agree. I had him right there at 4.
Nice.
And you took words right out of my mouth, so we got that. And then did you have somebody different at 4?
That's where I put the Giants.
All right,
That's where I put the Giants, just because I'm not fully sold on them yet.
Yeah.
I got faith, but
Yeah, you gotta see it through first.
Exactly.
Gotta see it through.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then for 5 is where I actually had Tampa, and like you said, I mean, players took pay cuts so they get everybody back. Levante David on a cheaper deal. Godwin with the franchise tag, and like you said, Barrett. Even with Barrett, his contracts spread out, and he took more now or less later, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying, to make it work. So it's good to see that whole team get back together and be another Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you just don't see often. You don't see the players kind of drop the ego like, oh, well, I'm worth this money. They all were just like, we're worth this money. Like, we're worth the Super Bowl, and that means a lot more to them, and I think that was pretty cool. For 5, I ended up just throwing in the Jags. That's
Jags,
where I had the Jags.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then let's move on to the early losers of free agency. So for me, number 1, I think it's clear and obvious. We were talking about it last couple of weeks. The Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
I mean, they spent big on one defensive free agent, Bud Dupree, but then went and released basically their whole secondary.
I don't even like Bud Dupree like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's been as great as he got paid for.
And especially last year, I feel like last year was the perfect, showing of him. He had T.J. Watt on the other side. Obviously, T.J. Watt's going to get all of the attention when it comes to pass rushing, everything like that. And Bud Dupree just wasn't really there for sacks wise. He was kind of more of like what we talked about before, the Jadeveon Clowney type. Where he'll slow down the run, but I mean, so will your entire defense.
Yeah.
That's just not saying enough for me. He got hurt. And, I mean, I just don't understand what the Titans are going for here. They drop Adoree Jackson, Malcolm Butler, and Kenny Vaccaro.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, who
Adoree Jackson, I'm very confused about.
And he's the younger out of all of them. He's probably the most promising. And, I mean, that's not the only one. They also, I think, let go of their middle linebacker as well. Maybe if someone on the line.
It might have been the line. I know they re-signed their one of their linebackers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it was somebody on the line, but I don't know. Just overall, the Titans, after having such a great year, and that's not the only thing that they got rid of, right? Their OC's gone now too.
Yeah.
You just completely gutted a team that made it to the playoffs, kept it competitive. I just don't understand what they were going for here.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're going how the Jacksonville Jaguars went.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about as well.
Exactly, just breaking up a dream team almost.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
No.
But for my number 2, I got the Jets actually. And I know I was preaching last week, got to stay patient, and I agree with that 100%. But that doesn't mean they weren't the losers of free agency.
Yeah.
You had $80 million to spend in cap space and decided to play it safe, which I'm fine with as a Jets fan, like I said. But looking at it from an outside point of view, it just didn't make much sense. Everybody's looking around, $80 million. Everybody else can't sign players because they don't have enough money. You're sitting here on $80 million, you don't do much.
No.
But so, from an outside point of view, yeah, it does look bad, and you're the loser free agency for that, But they did fill holes in the roster, and they're building something the way they want it. So it depends how you look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just thought this would be the free agency to do it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's on sale. It's the Black Friday of the NFL right now. Like everybody is literally on sale. So I thought that the Jets would at least be able to go out there and just get, even if they're not key players, depth. That's the one thing I've preached about the Jets forever. All they needed was some depth. You have your middle linebacker when Mosley goes down, and your defense kind of fell apart 2 years ago. And obviously he opted out last year, but it's all
he hasn't played since.
Yeah, exactly. It's all of these things that, I mean, I that's just how I saw it. You had $80 million. You could have found a couple good pieces there. Could have found Sam Darnold some kind of weapon if you decided to keep him. And, I mean, you could have gotten rid of Sam
Corey
Darnold.
Davis isn't a bad weapon, though.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about him. Like, I mean, I guess just since he was on the Titans, he had some key drops last year.
Yeah.
He just didn't impress me too much. But I also agree with people saying that he was shadowed by AJ Brown.
Yeah.
It's hard to be that good when you have someone like that on the opposite side of the field for you. So I think maybe Corey Davis goes to the Jets, and maybe he's a little bit more electric. Maybe a lot more looks.
I think he fits better in the scheme.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the best, if not the best, in play action passes.
Yep.
Which is what we're going to be running heavy. And I think it's more of a scheme fit and a cheaper deal than signing Galladay to $72 million or whatever the Giants did,
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad. But then we'll move on to number 3. I got the Chicago Bears. So they made a serious push for Russell Wilson. Obviously, they didn't get him or they wouldn't be on the list. But they didn't, and here they are ready to run out Andy Dalton for $10 million. And they wasted their star-studded defense because they couldn't figure out their offense.
Yep.
Wasn't Matt Nagy brought here to develop that offense, develop Mitchell Trubisky? But then he just stopped trusting in Trubisky. Brought in Nick Foles, brought in other guys to come back him up and put pressure on him. It didn't work. So I really don't know.
Wait, was that announced that Andy Dalton's going to be the starter?
He came out and said they signed me to be the starter.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, no.
Ew. You went from Mitch Trubisky to that?
Yeah. That's what they decided.
God, dude. The Bears are gonna Bears, I guess, but that's just.
They
might have just been the Titans on my list. I didn't know that. I thought they signed him as some kind of quarterback competition. Hopefully something. Dude, that's gross.
No, he came out and said after he was signed that they told me I'm signed to be the starter. So.
Oh my God!
That's
if
they're rocking with
in the draft. I'm gonna have a heart attack. That's terrible. Yeah, no, that's bad. That's bad news Bears right there.
Yeah.
And whatever. You got rid of Trubisky. You should have. He wasn't obviously the best, but I don't know. I have no words for that actually. And they keep Nick Foles obviously.
Yeah. They have Nick Foles still. I don't know if they decided what they want to do yet.
So you have 2 below average quarterbacks, and you didn't get Russell Wilson. Yeah, they're terrible.
That's
bad. That's
they truthfully could have came out as number 1, but I still think the Titans ruined their offseason there.
Yeah, they might be tied 1A and 1 AA.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been good for them, man. But number 4, I got the Saints actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, they've been in cap hell.
Yeah.
They couldn't make many moves, as well as not retaining their own players. And Trey Hendrickson, Justin Hardy, Janoris Jenkins, they let go, and plenty of more.
Who all just had great seasons.
Yeah, all had great seasons. Yep.
Too.
And then restructured Tyson Hill's contract, re-signed Jameis Winston. But, what's their key free agent so far,
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I think, Breeze is gone, obviously, too. He's all retired. This might be the downfall right now of the Saints.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to have to start rebuilding and everything in between because they got rid of Emmanuel Sanders as well.
Yep.
Right? So, sheesh, man. Yeah, they're in some trouble as well, but it all came from the cap. That was the problem from the beginning. We knew that they were going to start releasing a lot of these players left and right, but, man, that's going to end up hurting them. I agree. I had them at 3. You had them at 4, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree.
One thing we could look out for next year is with the new TV deal, getting a bunch of money coming in. Saints could be the next Patriots next year.
Really?
Come in strong with new money, release some players after this season, see what you got, and then rebuild and sign a bunch of free agents to get going again,
Yeah.
And if Winston has a great year for them. Now it's going to be like the Cam Newton situation. 1 year, all right, well, he was decent, he was good. Let's re-sign him, put weapons around him now.
Yeah.
So it could be something interesting like that.
Okay.
And then number 5, I got the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
they had a chance to bring in a true number 1 wide receiver for Rodgers and some offensive linemen, or just retain their own in Lindsley.
Yeah.
Instead, they opted to re-sign Aaron Jones. It's a big deal. I don't know what they want to do anymore.
Yeah, you know what? The thing is, like, I don't hate Aaron Jones. I just don't think he deserved that money. I don't think he deserved all that. And they don't. The thing that kills me is they don't use him. They really don't use him. Like him and Jamal Williams split carries so evenly last year. So
along with their second round draft pick coming in.
Exactly. So if you're gonna go out of your way to end up signing your running back for that much money, you really think that he deserves it, then use him. Yeah. They're not in the league for a long time. The running backs don't last. True. And guess what? He kind of is on those later years of who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe he comes out next year, he gets hurt, and he's a bust. He doesn't run the same. He loses that stride. But you missed the opportunity. Could you imagine if they would have went out and got like Kenny Golladay or Will Fuller?
Yeah.
Will Fuller went to Miami on a 1-year deal.
If they got Will Fuller, that offense changes immediately. It's electric.
God, man. I don't know. The Packers, they continue to blow my mind every single year. Who knows what's going to happen in this draft?
Yeah, they'll probably draft another running back.
Yeah.
Late first round pick, Najee Harris.
But I don't understand what's going on with them either. And, you know, their line's always been strong, right? It's always been one of those things. So when they didn't re-sign Lindsley, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
It shocked me. But him going over to the Chargers, it doesn't look too bad for them.
No, that was a good pickup to block for Justin Herbert down there, or over there. But then let's move into another topic I got. So is the Super Bowl already set? I mean...
This is what I said like a month ago.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if the free agency gone like how I thought it would, if we see both of those teams return. Now, in my mind, did the Chiefs do enough to, make it back to that Super Bowl and beat the Bucs? Maybe. Possibly, but the Bucs did everything that they needed to make it back.
Yeah.
And, I got a little worried with the Chiefs. Their offensive line got exposed in the Super Bowl, and then they get rid of Mitchell Schwartz and
the other one, Eric Fisher.
Yeah, thank you. So just because of that,
it's a little questionable. They did bring in a big-time free agent, Joe Thuney, as we talked about, 5 years, $80 million.
Yeah.
Added a veteran guard that came out of retirement, and Kyle Long.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they are... I truthfully thought they were going to go with cheaper veteran options just because their cap space and everything, but people restructured contracts and they got the big free agent. And Joe Thuney, man, he is people are just like, damn, like 5 years, $80 million just for a guard. Like, he can make a difference. He's never missed a game.
100%.
He's almost perfect in blocking. It's ridiculous, seriously.
Yeah, he's one of the best to do it, 100%. And my whole idea on it is, I said it a month ago, right? I thought that both of those teams can make it back. We'd end up seeing that Super Bowl again. But there's a couple other teams that I think could really, really make that run. One of them being the Bills. One of them, my sleeper pick for next year again, is going to be the Browns.
Letting it off already?
Yeah,
okay.
Dude, I think what we saw this year in the playoffs was a lack of confidence. Something that they've been struggling with since they got Baker, right? Baker, is very down on himself. He has to hear that he has more commercials than wins, this, and that. But guess what? They finally put it together. They finally started winning, and they were on a roll towards the end of the year. When Pat Mahomes went down in that playoff game, I think they were just in shock. They never thought that situation was going to happen, right? They never thought that they were going to have the ability to kind of come back, and they just didn't capitalize. Because they were like, they were shell-shocked. They had no idea. They didn't come together, and they were like, oh my God, we could win this game right here, right now. The whole world was betting against them. But I firmly believe that they have started to make some positive moves to kind of become an issue in that division. I see Pittsburgh taking the step back. They brought Big Ben back. I don't think that was the move. I see the Ravens continuing to be the Ravens, obviously.
They need to add a big weapon, though. Yeah. They need to add a weapon on offense.
100%. I mean, they picked up Dez Bryant, and, that was, supposed to be the big deal for them. They were 31st in the league for passing.
It was bad.
Offense. So, I mean, until they do that, they're not really making that improvement. I could see the Browns making the jump in that division and actually doing it. They're kind of pulling something off.
No, I agree. I think the Browns are going to be good, very good next year.
Yeah.
Especially Odell's coming back, too, from injury. Yeah. He, cross your fingers. Hope he stays healthy this season. They could have a big year.
Yeah, another player who lacked confidence up until last year, right before that injury, man. He was killing it. He had that 1 3-touchdown game where he was all over the place. So I think they're finally realizing how to use him as well, how to get him open.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's touch on this last topic I got real quick. The worst signings of free agency so far. I got my top 5. It's just, a quick look at it. Not saying that they're going to be bad, but they're definitely worst signings from player to money-wise. So we'll start at number 5, Trey Hendrickson. So he got 4 years, $60 million. And I mean, he surprised a lot of people this year with a huge increase in sacks, I think at 13.5.
Yeah.
But it was his first year doing that, and the Bengals, bought in. I don't know if he can sustain it, what he did 1 year for the next 4 years to the Bengals. I don't know.
Bengals is another team that we left out free agency wise who did a great job.
Yeah, they did.
It's another one of those things with a bunch of question marks all over them, but they needed help on that defensive side.
Yeah.
Unbelievably bad. They needed help so bad. So, in my opinion, I have him at 5 too. Now, the reasoning same for you, like he didn't have this good of a season up until this year. Right?
Yeah.
Before that, it was kind of like he was wishy-washy. You didn't really know if he was worth the draft pick that the Saints got him for. But he's on a roll, right? Maybe he is worth the money. Maybe he figured it out. Maybe he just needed those 3-4 years to kind of come together and just become that better player and achieve what he wanted to do. But I worry that he's not even going to be able to do it on the Bengals because those defenses.
Bengals.
Yeah, exactly. Those are two very different teams, two very different defenses. So we'll see how it works out. But I agree with you. I think he was a little bit too pricey.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And then number 4, Bud Dupree, 5 years, $82.5 million. I know we touched on it a little earlier, but I mean, it's a lot of money for a player that just hasn't produced.
No. It feels like Jadeveon Clowney round 2 for them.
Yeah.
Like that's the exact vibe I got from it.
100%.
Same player, same everything. Yeah, man. He again overpaid by a long shot.
Yeah, for sure. And then number 3, I know we just touched on it. Aaron Jones, 4 years, $48 million. Like we said, Rodgers could have used O-line and wide receiver help. Instead, you signed a big your free agent running back. So I don't know. It was a questionable move for sure.
A lot of money on it too.
Yeah.
Again, another pricing one.
And then for me, number 2, I got Hunter Henry. 3 years, $37 million. He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's not a $37 million player.
100%.
After not being able to stay healthy last 2 years, probably even more, I think, since he came in the league, he's been injury prone. And I just don't know if dishing out big money guarantees is the right way to go.
100%. I agree with that one. I mean, and especially after you get Jonnu. You get Jonnu Smith, and it's just like, okay, and you're going to just go on a sign. And I understand, that's the Patriots' way, right? They always love these tight ends, the Aaron Hernandez's, the Rob Gronkowski's. They like playing them both on the same field at the same time and try and make the teams cover these two big guys. In the red zone, I love it. On them having to get downfield to get to the red zone, I don't love it. Cam Newton has showed that he can't really get there to begin with, and if he does, your only play was quarterback sneak and hope to God that this man was going to just bully people over.
Yeah.
Cam doesn't have that really anymore.
No.
So my worry here is, okay, so you get Cam bigger targets, that's perfectly fine, but you just paid a man $37 million over 3 years, and he's barely played the last 2. I mean, when he did play, sure, he had some touchdowns, he had some yards, he didn't do that bad of a job, but man, you're rolling the dice to say the least. And again, after spending $243 million, it's just, I guess in their minds they were looking at like, all right, what's another 37? But
yeah, right.
I don't know. I worry about that for sure.
Yeah, and then we'll move to number 1. I have Nelson Aguilar, 2 years, $22 million, $16 million guaranteed. He had a nice year last year with the Raiders, but to pay him $11 million a year for a good, not great season, I don't think it's worth it to me. And there was plenty of other talent out there that they could have signed for that much money. Maybe even less. Juju Smith-Schuster took like a 1 year, $8 million to go back to the Steelers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they could have used that money elsewhere, or at least in that same position, but a better player than Nelson Aguilar.
So I don't hate him. I actually like Nelson Aguilar a lot. And
okay.
His statistics from last year, while they don't, they're nothing, like you said, they're good, they're not great, but they were enough for me to be like, maybe he does deserve a chance. Maybe he does deserve the money, especially when he's playing alongside of Darren Waller. They tried getting Henry Ruggs in the mix for a little bit there, too.
Yeah.
He didn't really have as good of a season, but 48 receptions, 896 yards, 8 touchdowns, 18.7 yards averaging every catch. So, I mean, he is that threat for them. If you're going to run these 2 tight ends who are probably going to be going shallow, you're going to need that guy who's going to be the burner on the side, right?
He just has to catch it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like Aguilar, right? But that was his best statistical season for him of all time.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that after players leave the Eagles, they're better. They're just like the Eagles are just like it's like a black cloud over there. So I have a lot of faith in him doing better. My worst signing actually, it's still on the Patriots, but I still can't wrap my mind around Cam. I still can't wrap my mind around Cam Newton. And this is why I understand. Whatever, 1 year, $12 million. I think
it's up to 14 or something.
Yeah, up
Incentives.
to 14, $2 million, and the other 12 is all incentive based. Perfectly fine, whatever. My whole thing is, why would you not go into this draft right now, try and pick up Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Try and pick up one of these younger quarterbacks to really make this happen. And maybe they do. Maybe, Bill Belichick is one hell of a football mind. This guy could, he's doing the Brady to Bledsoe thing where he's got Drew Bledsoe as Cam Newton. He might bring in like a Mac Jones, and then before you know it, Mac Jones is going to be the starter over Cam throughout the year, like later on when Cam starts screwing up, if he screws up. However, what did Cam Newton show you last year for him to be the starting quarterback? At one point in time, you literally, during a game, had a quarterback battle with Cam Newton and Jared Stidham. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at that point, you're going to turn around and be like, hey, Cam, we're going to re-sign you. He must be the best talker in the world, or someone. Because I just don't understand why they would have brought him back like that. And I'm not saying they could have got someone else for that $12 million that would have been worth it. But maybe you don't get Aguilar, and maybe you add on that $12 million and try and hunt down Kenny Galladay. Maybe you try and hunt down the Will Fuller. Maybe you try and get like that one step above Aguilar as a wide receiver, get a rookie quarterback, and just have the trust and faith in him that he can actually pull it off. Because we've seen it before. We just saw it with Justin Herbert. He just needed a couple playmakers around him, and that was it. So I'm also big on Mac Jones. After hearing what Devontae Smith said about him, they asked Devontae Smith, Tua
and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, and Jalen Waddle. They asked Devontae Smith, they said, would you prefer Tua or Jalen Hurts? And he said, neither, Mac Jones.
Yeah.
He's played with all three of them. So, I mean, unless he was just BS.
Well, Jalen Waddle said it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out and said he would choose Mac Jones.
So, I mean, you got to listen to the people who are catching the ball. There's got to be something interesting about him, something that you like. So, overall, that was the one thing that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But other than that, I thought the Patriots did a hell of a job.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But that'll wrap it up for this show, bro.
Yes, sir.
Russo's NFL Rundown. We'll have it every Sunday for talk about the NFL news all off season. So catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We got us on YouTube, as well as our website. You can check out our blogs we put out almost daily, russosplaybook.com. And we'll catch you guys again next Sunday.